Welcome back, guys.
Hi, I'm Sophie and I'm transforming our 1930s box room into a dream ensuite. And with the help of my husband, we're doing it all ourselves and learning as we go.
So this week's been a pretty exciting week. We are all first fixed now. So all of our electrics are in, all of our plumbing is in, as you can see beside me, which means the ensuite is officially in our hands now to get it to the next step, which is terrifying. Before I tell you what the next steps are, let me just do a quick whip round of what we got installed in here. Starting from this corner, you can see that this is where the bath is going to go, so in the floor, not that you can see, but bath taps are here, shower controls will be here, and then we've got a shower head that's going to be in the wall. So this whole wall is going to get tiled by yours truly. Obviously we had our really lovely ensuite door installed. We've got a toilet going on this wall, so radiator pipes over here. The vanity is going to go here, so we've just moved it out of the way to put the pipes in. But we've got a waste and hot and cold feed there. Then we have wall lights either side and a shower socket. And this beauty I found on Facebook Marketplace for £100. Apparently it came from an old vicarage, and it has a marble top, and the marble top is like perfect. These are the tiles that we're going to use. So like a really warm, I don't know what colour that would be, burgundy rust colour, and then a brick kind of colour on the floor. Let's get going. I'm a terrible YouTuber because I forgot to film it, but all you do is get some of this roll. We've got the acoustic one, but it does good for thermal and acoustic, and you just shove it in. It's a horrible job, but yeah, nice and toasty in here now. We're all floor insulated, so the floor can go back down. The next job is to kind of get the walls plastered and start putting everything back together now. The first thing that you need to do is prep your walls for skimming. And what I mean by that is that any large holes in the wall need to be repaired. Even before we get to the bonding coat, the first thing you want to do is make sure your walls are clean.
So you'll need a solid surface for the plaster to bond to. I would use sugar soap to wash down any walls with grime or dirt on. For me, I'm just removing any mask and tape and we're good to go. So here I'm mixing up the bonding plaster. You want to start with a bucket of fresh water and then slowly add the powder, mixing as you go. The ratio is usually 1 part water to 2 parts plaster, but I do it by eye. You want it thick enough so it doesn't slop everywhere. Before you start applying the plaster, it's a good idea to seal the surface with a coat of PVA glue. Use the instructions on the back of the glue to work out how much you need to dilute it. Then brush it on and let it go tacky before you start filling. Once that's ready, you can pack the plaster into the holes with your trowel, pressing it in tightly so it really fills all of the gaps. For deep holes like mine, you might need multiple coats. I usually do 2. The first layer should be like 3 to 5 mil thick, and then the second layer kind of thinner than that, maybe 2 to 3 mil. Once filled, you can then smooth it out with your trowel. You want to get it as flat as possible so that it is level with the rest of the wall, but don't worry if it's not perfect because we're going to be skimming over it anyway at a later date. Then you just leave it to set. I usually bond everything in one day and then skim the next day, but ideally you'd want to wait at least 24 hours for it to fully dry. And always make sure that your tools are clean before the plaster sets. It is much easier than scraping it off later. And that is how you prep the wall for skimming.
So now all of the holes that need to be filled, all the electricians and the plumbing's bit, there's a bit down here that needed to be filled, is all patched up. So this wall is pretty much ready for skimming. But if I turn to this wall, we have some edges here. So whenever you have an outside corner, you want to use an angle bead. Otherwise your corner will just be shit. If I'm honest. So your angle bead, which is what this is, will enable you to get a really sharp corner.
So before you get started, you want to make sure you cut your angle beads to the right size. And I cut them so that they have a point at the end. This helps them sit together neatly in the corners for a much cleaner finish. And you really want to spend some time making sure those corners are lined up perfectly too. You'll definitely notice if they're off. I'm using bonding plaster to stick them into place, and I actually apply it directly to the bead itself. This way you get more control over where the plaster goes and avoid too much mess on the wall. And a quick apology for the terrible filming at this stage. My phone actually ran out of memory, but I'm working on a dedicated video all about prep for plastering, so please keep an eye out for that. So once the bead is in place, I then go in with a wet paintbrush just to tidy up any of the bonding that has come out of the bead and get a really clean finish, especially around those edges. And then finally I double check that everything is lined up and straight before it sets. And then we wait.
Now we tape.
Next up is Scrim tape, which is a self-adhesive mesh tape that actually helps prevent cracks in your plaster joints. And you want to use this over any joins between plasterboard, pressing it down as you go, and on any cracks or joins between normal wall and plasterboard wall. It's quick, easy, and will save you a lot of problems later on.
Ready to be skimmed? Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. Probably not. Today we're going to plaster this wall.
We've got a bit of everything here, so we have new plasterboard, which I'll be tackling today, patch bonding areas and some wobbly old walls, all which need a slightly different technique. Skimming is one of those skills that I taught myself, and I fully believe that anyone can learn it. That said, everyone's learning curve is different, so some people might need one practice wall and others might need 500. So if you've got a few walls that you're okay with testing on, I'd say go for it. And I am working on a full video that walks through the process step by step from mixing to finishing, so keep an eye out for that on our YouTube channel if you want more details on this. This video is less of a how-to and more of a look at the real process of DIYing your own bathroom. More of the messy in-progress bits that you don't always see. So for now, here's a little behind the scenes of what it actually looks like getting a room to that fresh blank canvas stage. I try to do one wall a day. Plastering is really hard work, and any more than that, honestly, my hands feel like they might disintegrate into dust. But slowly and steady we get there eventually. But please do drop a comment if you've got any questions or plastering projects coming up. We'd love to hear.
So that is all the plastering done, and if you would like to see the specifics on how I learned how to skim, how to prep your walls to be able to do this, I've done a video for specifically this. So the next stage in our ensuite journey is to get the floor and the wall tiled, and the next video will be all on that. So catch you next time.